Welcome back to Alabama Live. We are joined by Dr. Brian Sellers for our Ask the Doctor segment. If you have a medical question you would like answered, just call 420-9732 to ask your question. Dr. Sellers, we're going to go straight back to the phone lines. We have B from Montgomery. B, go ahead with your question.
Yes.
B.
Sir, I'd like to ask a question. Do you consider all these fast food restaurants is causing a high rise of heart disease and heart attack and other diseases? And what kind of food would you suggest if people are eating nothing but this? Because clogging the arteries, am I not correct?
Well, so dietary choices are a very, very strong risk factor for the buildup of plaque. It also affects your risk for other things like diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. Those kind of things all contribute to, you're absolutely right, those things do contribute to some of the health issues that our society is having. The Western diet overall is not a healthy one. And some of that is plain to see. So even in our cooking at home, we usually cook with we like to fry things here in the South. We like our Southern food. But you're absolutely right. Those things can have serious health effects. They can predispose us to plaque buildup in the arteries. As far as eating a healthy diet, eat lean, healthy meats or leaner cuts of meat, chicken, fish, turkey. Those are good meat substitutes. Try to avoid fried foods. Make sure you eat plenty of fiber. Those things are just good rules of thumb.
Good question. Thank you for calling, B. Dr. Sellers, we have a viewer submitted question. Lynn asked, she suffered a stroke back in the spring, recently woke up with some numbness in her ear. Could that be connected to the previous stroke?
It could be. Without knowing where the previous stroke was, I can't say definitively. But certainly where the stroke impacts the brain will dictate where the symptoms are. Just isolated numbness on one side of the face like that would be a bit unusual, but I can't say it could not be.
There are some other causes that could explain it as well. Could be checked out by
Absolutely.
a doctor. Once someone does suffer a stroke, what are some steps they can take to prevent another one from happening?
It depends on the cause. So the biggest cause that we find for strokes is usually a blockage or plaque buildup in the carotid arteries. So what can happen is over time, those arteries become diseased, they become narrow. You can actually have little emboli that travel from the carotid artery into the brain and cause what we call an ischemic stroke. Or you can have things that travel from the heart or the aorta in the chest that cause similar things. That's the biggest cause, but now we don't always find a reason for a stroke. You can also have other causes like high blood pressure or a bleed inside your brain. But for anybody who's had a stroke, it's really important to get that evaluated and try to identify a cause, especially if there is a plaque or a blockage in the carotid arteries that can be removed or treated. That can lower your risk for a future stroke.
Dr. Sellers, thank you as always for your advice here on Alabama Live. If folks want to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
Just call the office, 334-247-4774.
Dr. Sellers, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.